Hey guys, this is Mr. Grice for Algebra Unit 8 Review Video 2. We've already done the entire first page, so if you missed it, go back and watch it. Now we're on the back, starting with number 7. Now remember, the first thing we always want to do is set it equal to 0, okay? So I find my quadratic term. It's positive, so I'm going to move everything else over there. So I'm going to subtract 3x. I'm going to subtract the 19. Everything on the right cancels, and it's equal to 0, which is what we want. And we have 11x squared. And then what happens with our linear term? Well, that cancels too. And then negative 14 minus 19 is negative 33. Okay, so there's no quadratic or no linear term, which means we can use SADMAP. Okay, now, if you wanted to do the quadratic, you could. A would be 11. B, there's no B terms, so it's C, or 0, and then C is negative 33. That's if you want to do that, but I'm going to do SADMAP. So first thing I do is add 33 to the other side, and we get 11x squared equals 33. And then divide by 11. We get x squared equals 3. And then the last step to do would be to take the square root. And the square root of 3 is 1.73. So remember, the calculator only tells us part of the answer. It would be plus or minus 7.3. Okay, number 8. Let's move that to the other side to set it equal to 0. And we have x squared minus 10x minus 68 equals 0. So let's check. Can we factor this? You'd be looking for the factors of 68 that multiply to negative 68 and add to negative 10. And bad news. Nothing works. Okay? So we're going to get rid of that. And the only way to solve this now is to use the quadratic formula. So a equals 1, b equals negative 10, and c equals negative 68. So quadratic formula, x equals the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, all divided by 2a. So we have 10 plus or minus 2's on the bottom, and we're just going to do the discriminant, that bottom part. The negative 10 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 68, and we get 372. Okay, so let's keep working. 10 plus or minus divided by 2, the square roots of 372, 19.29. Okay, so then we're going to break it down into our 2, the plus and the minus, so 10 minus 19.29 divided by 2, and 10 plus 19.29 divided by 2. And remember, you can put that all in your calculator as long as you break it up. I want to subtract first and then divide, and we get negative 4.65. And then if you don't like doing that, you can just do, well, I know it's 10 plus 19.29, and I can just divide it by 2. And then you've got x equals 14.65. Okay? And those are your two answers. All right. Andy did not bring his pencil to math class, so he needed to borrow one of Miss C's pencils. While taking notes, he accidentally fell and he fell asleep, and his pencil fell to the floor. The path of the pencil is represented by the equation. Let's make sure we mark down that equation. Negative 16t squared plus 3, where t is the time in seconds and h is the height of the pencil above the floor in feet. Okay, so the t is the time and h is the height in feet. So any equation we want to know, are we looking for h or are we looking for t? So reading this, it says, how far above the ground did the pencil fall after 0.35 seconds? Well, to me, right there, they just told us that it was 0.35 seconds, and then how far we're looking for the time, or the height, okay? So h equals negative 16 t squared plus 3. And we're plugging in 0.35 seconds. Why don't you guys pause the video and solve that? Okay, and you should have gotten that h equals 1.04 feet. Okay, the next one. Remember, we got to write down h and t. How long did it take the pencil to reach a height of 2 feet above the floor? Well, for this one, they told me that the height is 2, and we're trying to find the t. So using the same equation, 2 equals negative 16 t squared plus 3. So the first thing we always want to do is we want to get the 2 to the other side because we want it to equal 0. Okay. Well, is there a linear term? All right, so there's no linear term, which means we can use SADMAP. So I'm going to subtract 1 to both sides. And we get negative 1 equals negative 16 t squared. We're doing SADMAP, so I'm going to divide by negative 16. And negative 1 divided by negative 16 gives us 0.0625. And we're not done yet because we have to square root both sides. And when we square root that, 0.0625, we get 0.25. And remember, that's plus or minus, but which one don't we need? We don't need minus because we can't go back in time. Okay, time is only positive, so just make sure that you write seconds on there. Okay, C, how long did it take for the pencil to land on the floor? Did they tell us what either of those are? Well, they said how long did it take to hit the floor? Well, how long? They're asking about time, so I don't know the time, which means I have to know the height, but there aren't any numbers. Well, it says the floor, and the floor is 0, okay? So let's get back to this. 0 equals negative 16t squared plus 3, okay? I'd use SADMAP to solve this, and you guys can do this on your own. So go ahead and pause the video, and good luck. Okay, and you should have gotten that your time equals 0.43 seconds. Okay, and the last one said, what was the height? Oh, that should have been the other color, I'm sorry. What was the height before the pencil fell? So if they're saying, what is the height? It must mean we know what the time is. So before the pencil fell, how much time had passed? Well, no time had passed because it's still on the desk, okay? So we're trying to find the height of negative 16t squared when that's 0 plus 3. Now, this shouldn't take you very long. You can do this in your heads. What do you mean you can do this in my head? Well, what's 0 squared? Well, 0 squared is 0. Negative 16 times 0 is 0, and you're left with 3. And we're talking about feet. So the height equals 3 feet. Okay, and the last one says use the discriminant to identify how many real solutions the following equation has. Remember, the discriminant is that part underneath the square root, which is the b squared minus 4ac. So to do that, I need to have this equation equal to 0. So to have it equal to 0, I'm going to subtract the 2x, and I'm going to add the 12. And we get 3x squared plus 3x plus 6 equals 0. So I need to know that my a is 3, the b is 3, and the c is 6. And from there, I'm just plugging it into the b squared minus 4ac. My b is 3, a is 3, and 6, and c is 6. Okay? Now you can do this in your calculator or individually. 4 times 3 times 6. And we get negative 63. And if it's negative, it has no real solution. Okay? All right, any questions? Well, I can't hear you. All of the answers were at the bottom. Hopefully I got them all right. Any questions, please come see Ms. Carranza or myself. Otherwise, this is Mr. Grice signing off for Algebra Unit 8 Review, Video 2. Thanks for watching.